Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, special edition of the Terrible Podcast. I am Alex Kozora. Alongside me, as always, is Dave Bryan. Thanks for being here for this Tuesday, August 17th, special edition episode, day 12 of Pittsburgh Steelers training camp. Just one more to go tomorrow, Dave. Can't believe it's already almost over. Good to be back with you, though. How you doing?
I'm doing great. You'll probably be doing a little bit better as soon as, I know you look forward to this time of year and all like that, but 13 practices, man, that starts adding up after a while. But, I know they had a couple of days break, so it was probably good for you to get back out there again, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. My body will thank me. It's not good on my body with the sleep schedule and eating everything in a brown paper bag and all that kind of stuff. But I'm doing better, and I imagine Steelers Nation in general is doing better based on the recent reports of Chase Claypool after suffering a scary-looking injury today. Before we get to that, though, Dave, on the injury report front, let's talk about briefly here some of the roster moves the Steelers made right after practice today. So basically 10 minutes after practice ended, they were cutting guys to get down from the NFL mandated 90 to 85-man roster. Let me go ahead and pull up the list here. They released 5 players. That included kicker Sam Sloman, wide receiver Isaiah McCoy, defensive lineman Abdullah Anderson, cornerback Steven Denmark, and offensive guard Brandon Walton. So those are your 5 cuts to get down to 85. This team will have to cut again a week from today to go from 85 to 80.
Yeah, and, we wondered whether or not a specialist would be involved in that. Sloman out the door. That means Chris Boswell will handle the kicking duties in the final 2 games there. So that's one of them there. You just had a kind of that feeling. I think I said what you asked me about McCoy not too long ago. I didn't think he'd, I kind of wondered maybe if he'd be out the door not later rather than sooner. He hadn't done anything fantastic, throughout this thing. And you have guys like Bussey and White back and just a few more guys that seem to be making more plays there. So you kind of worried about McCoy, who really his only claim to anything was winning deep down the field at Kent State there. Let's see. Brandon Walton, I think you pretty much had pegged that for a while there. Denmark, I think you had said that guy's been fading there, so that's probably not a big surprise there overall. So, look, you could have probably came up with a list of about, 15 names probably. Mm-hmm. And all of them had a pretty good chance of probably being on this list here. So that's the 5, and the remaining 85 will get at least another week on the roster here overall. And the biggest takeaway is the only rookie on this list of 5 today was McCoy. They had given him a $9,000 signing bonus, so that's $3,000 in dead money now, and that's $6,000 in dead money in 2022. The other moves, none of those should impact the salary cap because I believe all of them were outside the rule of 51.
Probably not worth overanalyzing the roster cuts here. I will say I was surprised TJ Carter got kept over Abdullah Anderson. I knew Anderson was not going to make the 53. I had him off my entire team, including practice squad, at my last roster prediction that went up this morning on Steelers Depot, but I thought he would get kept over TJ Carter. So I'm not sure what the rationale was there. Maybe they're letting Anderson go early to try to find an opportunity elsewhere. I don't think that logic really holds up in practice, but that is going to be one thing that made me raise an eyebrow today.
Right. And, look, neither one of us had him on the 53, I don't think. I thought maybe there was a chance he'd land, potentially on the practice squad. But and to release him this far out with the way the timing of the cuts are now, I don't think this is any sort of a move to maybe ensure he circles back to the practice squad. We're talking 26, 27 days, if not longer than that right now there. So out the door he goes, out Denmark goes. Yeah. Once again, I think you could have built a list of about 25 players and had a good reason to have all 50 15, potentially have 5 come out of that 15.
And is Boss really going to kick in the finale against Carolina, or will they just not kick that game? Will they just go for it on 4th down? I mean, I can't see Boswell kicking in the finale.
I don't know. I mean, he's the only one left now,
yeah. That was a surprise. But anyway, let's talk about the injury report today, Dave. And yeah, the very scary moment, the second to last play of practice, Chase Claypool deep down the right sideline from a pass from Dwayne Haskins, went down awkwardly on that left ankle of his, was down on the ground for, 2 minutes or so, and then was helped off the field by Ben and Eric Ebron. You guys see the photos on Twitter, I'm sure. It looked pretty scary at the time. You're never quite sure how serious those injuries are, but all the reports coming in from multiple sources say that it is a minor ankle injury. He should not miss much time, and so that's obviously a positive sign. And kudos to Dr. Mel, who already has an article sticking to the top of the page on Steelers Depot explaining the nature of the Claypool injury, and it seems like a best-case scenario for him.
Oh, Dr. Mel's been busy today. She wanted to do the terrible take today as well too, so she got that together. Starting at about about noon my time, I guess, or so. And it's right now it's 3:30 my time, and she not only hammered out the terrible take today, but she got a post out on Chase Claypool and the early kind of diagnosis on his ankle. So if you listen to this, jump on the Twitter machine at Girl Surgeon and thank her. Boy, she we are so blessed and spoiled at the same time, are we not, Alex, to have some of these people contribute the way that they do on the site here. So it sounds good so far. I think I'll tease it a little bit. She has a couple things to maybe look for in practice the next couple of days when it comes to Chase Claypool. And I think, needless to say, at this point, I doubt we'll see Chase Claypool play against the Lions on Saturday night. I'm going to go out on a limb on that.
Yeah, he's not going to practice tomorrow. He's not going to play the next 2 games here. Obviously, he wouldn't play the finale, you would imagine, and I very much doubt he'll play against the Lions. But the way things are reported, at least initially, it sounds like he'll be good to go for Week 1 against Buffalo, which is the most important thing to know here.
Alex, I sure am glad that big push that you made to have James Washington traded did not work out.
Yeah, I've been calling teams trying to get this. No, that's why you don't trade James Washington.
Exactly. I'm kidding. Now, right. Alex and I both were kind of animate that unless you get your socks blown up by some sort of offer for James Washington, there's no need to trade James Washington.
Yeah, because you're one Claypool injury or some other injury or whatever the case is from Washington going from number 4, not playing a lot, to being number 3 and playing a whole lot. And so that's why you hold on to that guy, and that's why I'm pretty sure this team will. Other injury report news today, Antoine Brooks Jr., another day missed. It might even be a left thigh than it is more of a knee, but he's not practicing. He was running a little bit more today, so there are some signs in the right direction, but still probably at least a couple days away, so he's missing just a ton of time right now. Stephon Tuitt did not practice, nor did Marcus Allen. Guys that came back in full today. Some of this is probably also guys who practiced on Sunday, which we were not there for. It was a closed practice. Benny Snell, Kalen Blanche, James Washington, Ray McLeod, Joe Hayden was full. Kendrick Green returned after an excused absence. He did not practice Sunday, so he's back full now. Chaz Green was back in full. So was Brandon Walton, although he was cut right after practice.
So who are you expecting not to play right now? Claypool, obviously. Mm-hmm. It's not looking good for Antoine Brooks Jr. And boy, that hurts his nickel chances, doesn't it?
It does.
Severely now. And who else do you kind of foresee potentially maybe not playing?
Beyond that, I mean, besides the obvious guys, Tuitt and Watt, I mean, we'll see what's going on with Marcus Allen tomorrow. But as of right now, the only ones I could confidently say won't play in terms of an injury-related reason are going to be Brooks and Chase Claypool.
Okay.
And then Tuitt and Watt. But so overall, in a pretty good spot injury-wise, knock on wood. Let's talk about today's practice, Dave. It was a bit of a weird practice. Mike Tomlin talked about it with the media after, kind of more of an in-season Wednesday type of practice. So no 7 shots. They were running almost a scout team kind of thing where they were running, first string offense against second and third string defense and vice versa. So the evaluation part of it's probably more difficult today. There was as little contact today. They were in pads, but very, very little contact today. So run session stuff's kind of hard to evaluate. With all that in mind, let's talk about the quarterback position. Not that he needed it, but Ben, a nice bounce back day I would say. The arm had probably his best throw downfield today, a 55-yard completion to Juju that was about 50 yards in the air.
Did he punt? Did he punt it?
He did punt it. It was his foot. That's legal, right? You can do that. But it was a little out in front. Juju dove for it, but it was where it needed to be, and it was a really good throw. And so, again, we'll see how things look a couple months from now in terms of the arm strength, but a really strong throw today.
So he's going to make the 53?
I think he'll at least make the 85 to 80.
Okay.
We'll see about 80 to 53. But and Mason Rudolph, solid throws, had a really good throw to, I think it was Ebron today, I want to say. But
wait, what?
Yeah, I know we're not allowed to say that, but I thought all the quarterbacks looked fine today. There was nothing too negative. But good day for Ben. Good day for really all the quarterbacks.
Look, that's what you want to hear right now at this time. You winding down camp. You want to, especially with the experience that these guys have. And especially coming off the day that Ben had the other day, supposedly and all. You want to hear that. So it just sounds top to bottom and I take it Joshua Dobbs didn't get much, if any, or any time today, right?
Very little. He did get some work today. He had one pass batted down. I don't know what he did on the other reps. So there were more team reps today in general because they didn't do some other stuff. So that probably allowed him to get more reps too, but nothing notable from him today.
You think you'll get a better idea on Wednesday, maybe what the obviously Ben's going to play against Detroit? Do you have any feeling of what's going to happen after that just yet?
No, except for the order. If you're wondering, Rudolph ran ahead of Haskins in every session and rep today. I know there was some scuttlebutt about that in Sunday's practice in the 2-minute situation. So it'll be Ben, Rudolph, Haskins, and maybe Dobbs, maybe not Dobbs. So I don't know how much they're going to play, but that's going to be the order.
Okay.
Running back, again, it's tough to evaluate today. Some nice runs by Balaj, McFarland, Harris, but the contact was so limited, it kind of skews the evaluation of it there. So we'll kind of move past running back at tight end. Eric Ebron, nice day for him. Had a really good catch. I think it came from Ben on an over route. Had a couple catches downfield today. And Pat Fryermuth continues. I'll repeat myself here. He continues to catch just absolutely everything, and we'll see what tomorrow looks like, of course. But he may have the highest catch rate of anyone basically in Steelers Depot training camp stat coverage history, which is a mouthful, all to say that he's catching everything thrown his way.
Wow, great. Hope we don't get into week one. There'll be a drop there. I'm coming after you.
I will say Kevin Rader, the hands are a really good start, but he's starting to drop more passes, had to drop today. And so the hands are looking like the Kevin Rader of old, unfortunately.
You still have Rader 3, Gentry 4?
I do, because as the number 3, he shouldn't have to catch a single pass, which is a
right.
good thing. So he can block in special team stuff, and that is his strength.
All right.
Offensive line. Dave, guess what? The offensive line practiced together today.
Yay.
As a projected starting 5, first team, in team, a core 4, Dodson, Green, Turner, and Zach Banner, left to right. So they worked in full today. So first time, next to last day of training camp, and better late than never. And then Dan Moore's getting work at right tackle, second team right tackle. Did not have a good day. Got beat 3 times in O-line, D-line by Jamar Watson, who's a third string undrafted outside linebacker. But
you sure you have the numbers right there? Because that's we just lost half the listeners probably right there with that. Are you sure? I'm going to give you an opportunity to correct that. Make sure you had it right.
Sustain the statement here. But the context is that Moore is obviously uncomfortable at right tackle. He's not going to feel as good with his punch, his feet, placement, all that kind of stuff. So don't be alarmed by that is what I'm trying to say, is that he's the guy that just is getting reps. And just in the way that he struggled early in camp at left tackle, he's struggling a bit at right tackle right now. I think he'll get better with time, but just want to note that he's getting work at right tackle position. He's played, I guess, a little bit early in his career at A&M, but hasn't done it since. And so I think there's going to be some growing pains associated with that.
Was Ingram running around wearing Joe Haeg as a hat today?
He was, yeah. An O-line, D-line, back-to-back reps with the inside spin. The first one beat him super clean. The second one still won, not as clean as the first, but still a pretty convincing win. And so the spin moves from these pass rushers, from a Highsmith, from an Ingram, occasionally from T.J. Watt, are going to be, I think, pretty deadly this year.
If the Bobs were here right now, they would say...
What does Joe Haeg do here?
What exactly does Joe Haeg do here? I think you and I kind of touched on this briefly on the other podcast. And I'm having fun here. Look, it's been a couple days since we've done this, and I enjoy talking about this kind of stuff and hitting certain things there. But I mean, is Joe Haeg worthy of a roster spot right now? I mean, especially if we talked about this the other day. If Dan Moore's going to, it looks like they're rushing Dan Moore along to maybe potentially be the swing.
Right. And the question is Dan Moore going to be ready to play right tackle week 1? I mean, we'll see what that growth and development looks like. There's still time for him to get reps and things like that, but he's not ready to play there today. So if he gets more ready to do that week 1, then it changes the conversation some, but he's just hasn't had the reps yet. So as of right now, Haig has that value because he's a lot more comfortable playing either spot.
Okay.
That's about it for the offensive line, I think. At wide receiver, Chase Claypool was having a good day before that injury. He had one of the best catches of camp, a toe tap catch along the right sideline for, I think, a 20-yard gain it was. And so just really good body control, getting that right foot down. Kind of a almost Antonio Holmes-looking kind of toe tap, but coming forward a little bit more. But, that ankle injury was scary looking, but it seems that it looked worse than it was because it looked really bad that my heart kind of sank. And I'm just glad it looks to be pretty minor.
Was that on your side of the field, or was that on the
opposite? That's why the photo I have is like the worst photo possible. And I was trying to zoom in, and they were walking away to go down the stairs there, but that was the opposite side of where I was at.
All right.
Defensive line
here.
Yep.
What's sticking out on now that McCoy's gone? Who's running in that next group
behind the starters?
Right.
It'd be Anthony Johnson, McLeod, and really James Washington is kind of running with the twos, you would say.
And the next group after that?
They mix and match. So, I mean, Cody White's gotten some slot reps. It's kind of a big slot. He can play inside out. So, really, it's kind of the rest of the guys. I mean, it's Cody White, it's Matthew Sexton, it's Rico Bussey are kind of the next guys, and Tyler Simmons. I knew they were going to cut a receiver because they had too many. It was just a question of which one, and Simmons edges out McCoy, I guess.
Okay.
Defensive line, I'm trying to think of my notes today. Carlos Davis, some good reps. Some of them came against like Malcolm Pridgeton, and so that's not a quality rep overall, I suppose. Stephon Tuitt was there. He might have showed up late. I didn't see him early, but then I saw him on the field later, but he did not work in any capacity today.
I think they said about halfway through he came out in street clothes during
now I feel better about myself.
Once 11 started.
Okay, because I know I didn't see him early, and so I tweeted that out midway through practice, and then someone was like, "He's there," and I thought I just missed him. I just was being blind about it, but so I feel a little bit better about myself. Now, I will say the defensive line, just the front seven pass rush in general, is doing a much better job here and can't getting their hands up in throwing lanes. They had 2 batted balls today, one by Alualu, one by Isaiah Buggs. Nice to see him make a play, and they've just been batting several the last couple practices after hardly doing any of that early on in camp. So I think maybe there's been an emphasis there to get hands up in throwing lanes, especially since you can't sack the quarterback in these drills, and so good ball awareness from the defensive line.
Buggs, I think, is having a better camp than what I envisioned him, and obviously I haven't seen a single snap of it except through your eyes or and reports, but it seems like Buggs is having a better camp than what I envisioned was forthcoming for him. What kind of camp is he having in relation to kind of what you maybe expected?
I think it's a good camp. Some of the stuff, though, with Buggs seems to be the stuff that we can't see. The weight stuff that Butler's always mentioned, although I haven't heard it this year, the assignment stuff, the consistency, things like that. So those are things that are going to be really tough for us to even evaluate from our outsider view, even though we're there or I'm there. But it has been a good camp for Isaiah Buggs.
All right, and Davis having a better camp than maybe what you thought, or no?
I think it's about the same. I think it's been a good camp. I mean, he's a really impressive athlete. Just that first step, the explosiveness, his get off for a guy that size and his build and his body type is really impressive. A guy that's getting work on special teams. So it feels like they're trying to create extra value for him to make sure he sticks on the roster. But still have Carlos Davis over Buggs in my latest roster prediction. But again, I don't want to cement necessarily anything in stone on that right now.
Boy, going back and looking at some special footage of the game against the Eagles and all like that, defensive line looked pretty daggum good, didn't it, the other night?
Yeah, I mean the whole trenches, offensive line and defensive line. The second half, they dominated. Did you get a good feel for Loudermilk in that game? How did you think Loudermilk performed?
I did. There was one snap I think I didn't like, but I mean, other than that, I thought he looked like he knew what he was doing, and some of those angles in there, man, it looks like he's put some of that weight back on. You
Oh, I'm
know?
sure he has. Yeah, he was like 270.
I mean, he looks good. You know, obviously, probably has to get stronger, yada yada,
Mm-hmm.
and all. But assignment wise, I'm trying to pay attention to a few snaps there. It looked like he knew what he was doing. Had one nice twist in there. Him and was it Carlos Davis? I
I
think.
think so. Yeah, for the
And,
sack?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a sack with Roche and Loudermilk split there. Very, very nicely run. Twist inside there and just really a very constricting pocket overall. I have not. I got to that point and had to move on to something else. You know me, I get distracted real easily there. But I want to go back later on tonight and watch the rest of the snaps in there and see if I can see any hand usage or anything along those lines.
Yeah, no, I think he's had a good outing so far. I know there's an article from Jonathan Heitritter in the morning that'll go up that I think has a more mixed review of it. But I've been overall happy with Loudermilk. I think he's separated himself, and I think he's got, I'm not going to call him a lock, but he's got a good chance to stay on the 53.
And look, I mean, the hope is that he doesn't have to play but 50 snaps or so, you know?
Right. Like, I don't think he'll be active week 1.
Right. I mean, I think Wormley, something that stuck out going a little bit deeper into the tape against the Eagles there. It's not a guy that we've talked about a lot, but I mean, I think he's having a fantastic preseason, to be honest with you. I don't know what his camp looks like, but I think he's represented himself well in the 2 preseason games so far.
Yeah, I think it's been solid. I don't know if I would go as far to say fantastic, but we're splitting hairs. I mean, it's been a good camp. He's versatile. He's a good run stuffer. I've seen a little bit of hand use with him. I had a good swim move. I think against the Eagles, he dusted the center of the guard on one play, I remember. So yeah, it's been solid.
Speaking of Dustin, Alualu schooled the rookie a little bit today.
Oh yeah, I should mention that with Kendrick Green. Yeah, O-line, D-line. The issue with Green is good athlete, no question about that. Just going to be how can he defend power and. Excuse me, Alualu got him with a long arm today and just pushed him back, literally put him on skates. And then
that's a long arm.
Yeah, and then one with power, not as noticeably, but still one. The next rep they won again. And so how Green handles some of those bigger, stronger nose tackles, the power rushes, the bull rushes, the long arm. That's where he's going to have the most problems. Pouncey had a similar issue, but I'm seeing a lot more of a problem with Green than I am Pouncey, and so. That's going to define Green, how he handles some of that. Can he punch? Can he repunch? Can he have a strong punch and win initially? Because if he can't win initially and they get into his pads, he's going to get taken for a ride probably far too often.
Being as how you are an extremely huge Kendrick Green hater, this is something that you referenced going all the way back to after he was drafted here. So none of this is new. The concern has been in the limited snaps that he did play at center at Illinois was the fact that he's the size and the short a little bit shorter arms is what has troubled him, and the being bull rush pushed back into the quarterback. And we saw a very good, unfortunately, a good example of that in the game against the Eagles there. So that has matched all along. So this isn't Alex just playing hater here. This is something that the college tape showed right out of the chute there, and has continued to progress here. And look, him missing a lot, I don't know what the deal is, personal business or what have you. And I understand, look, it's going to happen where people need to miss practices and all like that. But you just hate to see young rookies miss practices because that's an opportunity to get better, especially in situations like that. So, look, I still maintain the fact that he should be this, the bar is so low that he should be the week 1 center. But I think people need to be ready for Alex to show up hating on a weekly basis of the little rookie here,
Yeah, I will say one issue I saw on tape that in college I'm not seeing as much now is the balance. I think he's staying on his feet a lot better than he did in college. I don't know if you've noticed that in game as well, but
right, the aggressiveness, because he tended to get over aggressive at times, right?
Yeah. So I'm seeing improvement there, but yeah, power and dealing with just those power rushes is going to give him problems in this game, and you can bet Buffalo's going to test that week 1.
All right. We were defensive line. Okay.
Outside linebacker, again, good days for Melvin Ingram, who again dusted Joe Haig. Alex Highsmith continues to have a really strong camp. His explosion, his get off is, I think, taking big steps forward for sure. And Jamar Watson.
I expected him to obviously take a step forward, but man. I mean, he's really, really having a nice preseason in camp.
Mm-hmm. Are you still assuming Highsmith will be the starter opposite Watt first snap against the Bills week 1?
Yeah, I don't see any reason to think that. I think he's earned it. I think he is still in the position where he deserves a shot to lose the job, if that makes sense.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think he's going to start. Now, Ingram's having a good camp. He'll rotate in. He'll play. We'll see what the exact rotation and split is, but Highsmith, to me, will start.
Right.
And Jamar Watson, a couple of good reps today. We don't mention his name too often, but he survived the first wave of cuts and had a good day of practice.
Man,
so,
how many snaps has he even played in the preseason so far? He's hard to pick out on tape because you go from the starters to Marsh and Jameer Jones and on one side, and then it becomes Jameer Jones and Quincy Roche. I'm trying to remember a single snap that he's played. To be honest with you, Watson.
He's played a couple. He's a big guy. He kind of looks like a defensive lineman. I saw him today, and I didn't see the number because his jersey was rolled up. I was like, is that a defensive lineman that just got signed? And it was number 50. But I mean, he's obviously not going to make the team, and the practice squad's going to be tough with the play Jameer Jones and Quincy Roche.
Okay.
Inside
he played
linebacker,
8 defensive snaps against the Eagles.
Okay. Inside linebacker, Buddy Johnson, good day for him. I don't know if he came in unblocked or what the set of circumstances were, but a couple of tackles for loss in run session today. And so I thought, some noticeable plays in the run game for Buddy Johnson.
I have not had a chance to go back and look at the end zone on him from the Eagles. That's another thing I have circled.
How many snaps did he play, though?
Not many. 7.
Isn't it like 7? Yeah, because they didn't have the ball in the second half of the Eagles offense. So not a ton. And how many special team snaps did he get?
10.
Okay, so he actually got more in special teams than he did on defense. So, yeah, not as much to evaluate. Probably play in the second half of this game against the Lions.
Okay.
All right. Cornerback here. Just all the time that Antoine Brooks Jr. has missed, as you touched on earlier, is really starting to hurt him. I thought it'd be a minor thing, couple-day thing. Now it's well over a week, I think, right, on Brooks' week and a half probably. Don't have a lot of notes elsewhere. Pitts had some good run fills today. He was kind of active in run session. Again, contact was very limited today, basically non-existent, even though they were in pads. And I think that's about it for the cornerbacks.
They tried to pin down Keith. All right, we got an update here with Chase Claypool. He says all is well.
Claypool tweeted. Okay,
yeah.
Just tweeted that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So good news with Chase Claypool there for sure. Sounds like he's going to be fine. Let's see. They tried to pin Keith Butler down, asking him, is it going to be Arthur Millette? Who's going to be the nickel? And I thought kudos to Keith Butler for being able to dance around this thing pretty good. He was asked point blank, is Arthur Millette locking down that nickel? He says, I don't know if you could say anybody's locking that thing down. Yeah. I'm not ready to say yet. We'll see as time goes on. Haven't made up our minds. He was later asked, is the nickel between Antoine Brooks Jr. or Arthur Millette? Do we know that much? He says, I don't know yet. I can't tell you that. And then later he was asked, has James Pierre done well enough on the outside that moving Cameron Sutton to that spot? And if anything, maybe that's where the Keith Butler sprung a leak.
What did the SS Keith Butler, what did he say?
The SS Keith Butler. We'll see, he says. That's another possibility. That's a great question, and that might be the deal with us.
Is that what he said?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is pretty
sprung a leak there. He says, we like 25, which is Antoine Brooks Jr., and 35, Arthur Millette, in terms of their physicality and stuff like that. We like the covering ability of 20, which, of course, is Cameron Sutton. He says 42, which is James Pierre, has played well for us in this part of our season. Could he be part of the starting deal? We'll see. We'll see as we go, but that certainly is a possibility there. So, the SS Keith Butler.
That's some Titanic hit the iceberg right there. With that
yeah, that's where it sprung a leak, ain't it? All right.
Or we
anything
could
else?
we could use your NASCAR metaphor of the car. The
Yeah.
Coca-Cola Keith Butler's running well until that third question.
Till blew the engine there on the third, coming out of the third turn there. Yeah, I thought he was holding it. I thought the Keith Butler was holding it together well today until it came out of turn 3 there. But
I'd like to thank our sponsors, Copenhagen probably. What other?
Redman.
Yeah, there you go.
Bush.
For sure.
All right. Anything else to add? We're getting a little bit loopy here. I think, but all's well with that. Once again, it sounds like with Chase Claypool. So good news there. What are you looking for in this final practice, Alex?
Hopefully no rain. It's supposed to pour tomorrow, so notes can be kind of limited. I don't know. Just you got going to the finish line, guys. Running through the red tape, as the saying goes. Just the guys that maybe didn't have the best start finishing strong, and the guys that are playing well to continue to finish strong and treat this, even though it is the last practice of camp. I mean, they're still going to practice, of course, like it's the first one, and just finish as well as you started. That's all. Yeah, a guy like Steven Denmark had a good start to camp and faded for whatever reason. He didn't make it to the finish line, obviously, and so you want to just see guys strained and have a really strong end to camp because they're tired, their bodies beat up, I'm sure, but that's the NFL.
All right, believe it or not, within 12 hours from now, I think, probably a little bit longer than that, about 14 hours, we'll be doing another podcast. So I think I should probably let you off the hook here with that. How about a shout out to Len Testa and Touring Plans?
Yeah, before that, just quickly, the punting battle today. I did not think Presley Harvin III had a good day overall. I think Jordan Berry was the better punter. The numbers might show it was even, or maybe a small nod to either one of those guys, but Harvin had 2 punts that I think were pretty ugly. One that was especially ugly was 29 yards open air punt. And so little adversity for Presley Harvin, as Danny Smith says that Jordan Berry's punting as well as he ever has before.
Which way are you leaning right now? You still with the rookie?
Still Harvin. That was my roster prediction, but today was not a great day for Presley Harvin. Let's just be honest about it. I know he's the fan favorite, but Berry was better today. And so Harvin just has to avoid having negative days in the future. Just turn that performance around.
Man, you got a ton of hating in on today, man. Hating on Kendrick Green and Dan Moore and Harvin. Boy.
I just view it as being really positive about Jordan Berry and Tyson.
Oh, that's not the way the listeners view it.
I know.
All right. Lynn Testa and Touring Plans.
Yeah, shout out to Touring Plans. Again, booking a trip to Disney. That is the group you guys want to contact, the team you want to work with. We got some good comments on Twitter yesterday about people that have worked with Touring Plans in the past and had some really positive experiences. So it's not just us saying that, it's people on Twitter who've worked with them before and have had a really good outcome. And so we encourage you guys to go to touringplans.com. And again, thank them for being a really valuable sponsor of the Steelers Depot training camp coverage.
All right, one more to go, Alex. You'll be out there, and we will be wrapping it up with one final edition of the special edition of the Terrible Podcast on Wednesday night. And, boy, we've got a lot of work left to do this evening here. So within that, you can follow me on Twitter at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast at gmail.com. Once again, a lot of good stuff up on SteelersDepot.com right now. Head on over there and read Dr. Mel's post. And, boy, we got just a lot of news going up later on tonight. And Alex and I will be back on this thing Wednesday morning with a regular edition of the Terrible Podcast. So within all that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.